Welcome into the Commanders Report live show. I am your host, Jack Sperry. We got a bunch of great Commanders content coming your way here over the next hour or so. We got 3 segments to get to here, and we'll put up producer Joey on screen momentarily. But we got a bunch of great stuff coming in here. We got already 75 people watching live around the world. It's going to be keeping going here, people filing in and out. I see we already got John Stoyef in here. We got Eugene in here. We got Hunter, Cassie, my girlfriend's in here telling you guys to go like the video. I agree with her. Appreciate you guys. So let's get into the show, man, because we got a bunch of great stuff coming your way here. The latest Commanders trade rumors is going to be first up today. All right, so there's been quite a bit of some rumblings here, of some articles that have been written that have linked certain players that could be traded before the NFL trade deadline this year to the Washington Commanders. We'll talk about those players. Then I have a player on the Commanders roster that I think is going to step up in a major way after Jonathan Allen had that torn pectoral muscle last week against the Baltimore Ravens. And then we finally get back to our mailbags here, producer Joey. We haven't had a mailbag in a while. Our software has been a little bit buggy with the whole mailbag, but it's back, and we got some questions, and I can't wait to answer some of your questions. Joey, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Sperry. Mailbags are back. They're ready to go. Rocking and rolling. Excited to hear from you guys and try to give you the answers that you need.
It's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait for today's show. We got a bunch of great Commanders content coming your way here throughout today's show. By the way, if you want to get on the mailbag here, the way that you do that is that you go into the live chat, okay, you put hashtag Commanders, and then you put your question after it. So, for example, you go hashtag Commanders. Which cornerback do you want the Commanders to trade for? And I'll answer that question. Or you guys, if you want to guarantee that your question gets on the show, you guys can super chat. Any amount, $1, $2, $5, $10, doesn't matter. If you super chat with a question in the message, we will make sure that you skip the line and you get on the mailbag today. All right, so you guys can try to get on the freeway, hashtag Commanders, or you can guarantee your spot by sending in a super chat. If you guys don't know how to super chat, it's that little money symbol close to where you put in your comments in the comments section. You select the money symbol, you put in the dollar amount that you want to send in, and then you send it our way. Really do appreciate your guys' support. Every single dollar that you guys donate via super chat goes towards helping out the channel, improving our equipment, improving our graphics, all that great stuff. And then if you guys want us to keep more of the proceeds from your donations, you guys can send in Venmo, Cashapp, or PayPal at Jack-Sperry is where you can find me on Venmo. # Captain Jack 19 is where you can find me on Cashapp, and then at Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. The reason why that we put these on screen, guys, is because we're not going to tell anyone not to super chat, but YouTube does take 30% of every single super chat that you guys send in. So if you want us to keep more of the money that you guys send in, you guys can send it to at Jack-Sperry on Venmo, # Captain Jack 19 on Cash App, or at Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. Now, before we get into the Commanders content today, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And folks, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game, whether it be college or pro, live, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff, show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And guys, Game Time Picks is the brand new feature on the free Game Time app. And let me tell you, man, it cuts out a bunch of the time you spend researching to get the best tickets for you and your family. The way that it works is you go into the free Game Time app, you find an event you want to go see, select the Game Time Picks button, and it automatically filters out through all of their tickets for that event on their database. And it finds you the best deals. It's just super easy to use. You don't have to spend hours, going on a bunch of different ticketing sites, comparing prices, all this different stuff. Game Time Picks already does that for you. And then the other reason why I love using the Game Time app, and why it's the only ticketing app I have on my phone, honestly, is because you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all in pricing, so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout, and then flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So a little bit of a shout out here to our Hog Mafia members. These are the people that have put in at least $50 in Super Chat or Venmo donations on a single show. So if you guys want to join Hog Mafia, it's just $50 to get into Hog Mafia today. So shout out to Hot IQ Barbecue, Mark O'Gorman, Omar's Burner, Lord Buddy Bear, Luke O'Gorman, TJ, Commando Mike, James Howard, Russell Hance, and Jerry Gettings. All right, and then the perks of becoming a Hog Mafia member is you get a donation sticker. It says Commanders Report Hog Mafia on there, and every time you super chat, we put that sticker next to your messages so everybody knows that you are a part of Hog Mafia. Plus, you get a shout out on every single Commanders Report live show, just like we did just then. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already, and type me in the chat if you want a shout out on today's show. We got a bunch of great people in the chat right now. We got one from Trey and Kay. We got Hunter in here. We got JG. Got Cassie. We got Hunter. We got Cameron. We got JG. We got Ron. We got Justin Michael. We got Billy Everett here. Eugene made it today. Got Kenny Lewis. We got Keith Henry. We've got Richard Barker. We got Mo. We've got Kenny Lewis. We got CKC. What he says, what's good? What's up, CKC? We got Stay Cold. Am I saying that right, Joseph? We got It's Torched in here. We got Roy Chisholm. Got a bunch of good. We got a bunch of great Commanders fans in here today. We got a bunch of great stuff coming your way, man. Our first segment. I'm not going to keep you guys waiting any longer. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon. It really does help out the show. I'd love to be at 50 likes before the end of this first segment right here, guys. So make sure you click that thumbs up icon. I greatly appreciate your guys' support. And with that, let's get into our first segment of the day, which is the latest trade rumors surrounding the Washington Commanders. With the 2024 NFL trade deadline looming on the horizon, today on the Commanders Report, we're going to be breaking down the latest Commanders trade rumors and the latest players that are being linked to the Commanders before the NFL trade deadline this year. Welcome into the show. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Now, before we get into the trade rumors today, predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will the Commanders make a trade before the deadline this year? Type T if you think they make a trade, or type N if you say, nah, they're going to stay put. They're not going to get anybody. They're good. Okay, so the first trade rumor of the day, biggest name that we're going to be talking about today is Tee Higgins. Now, ESPN's Benjamin Solak has linked Tee to the Washington Commanders in recent days, saying that the Commanders wouldn't mind adding a receiver like Tee Higgins to their offense. Now, this is very interesting to me personally, because I just don't think that the Commanders really need to spend a big-time draft capital on another big-name receiver. I think that right now, what the Commanders have in the wide receiver room is actually pretty good. And I think that moving forward here, the Washington Commanders, they've got guys like Terry McLaurin. They've got Noah Brown in that number 2 spot. I like what Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown, and Olamide Zaccheaus have brought in supplementary roles. I like where this wide receiver room right now is at, and not to mention Austin Eckler is an excellent outlet out of the backfield, and Zach Ertz has been very good as a receiving tight end as well. So listen, man, it would be different if you didn't have a true number 1 in Terry McLaurin, but you do have Scary Terry here. So I don't think you have to go out and make a big move for a guy like Tee Higgins. And honestly, I think Noah Brown has proven that he is just fine as a number 2 receiver. So if you ask me, do I want to go out and spend big-time draft capital, probably a second-round pick, to go out and get Tee Higgins? The answer to that question is probably no. And yes, I do think that that is going to be the price for the Washington Commanders to acquire Tee Higgins, is a second-round pick. It's sent to the Cincinnati Bengals. And honestly, man, I'd rather keep that pick to bolster up the offensive line next spring, to bolster up the secondary, to bolster up the defensive line. Whatever the team's needs are come next offseason, I'd rather have that second-round pick in my back pocket instead of trading for a big-name receiver, which honestly, the Commanders don't really need right now, at least in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you make this trade? If you were Commanders GM Adam Peters and the Bengals offered this deal to you, would you type A for accept, or are you going to type D for decline? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take that second down there to give me an A or a D down there in the comments. So now let's shift to edge rusher here, where the New York Jets have given Haason Reddick permission to seek a trade. Now, obviously, the Jets just traded for Devontae Adams. They've been very active on the trade market this year. And Reddick is somebody that they traded for during the offseason. They didn't lock him up to a long-term deal when they made the deal with Philadelphia, and it really bit them in the ass, man. They didn't get that long-term deal done at any point during the offseason. Hasn't played a single down, hasn't even taken a single practice with the New York Jets this season. Now, he has been a Pro Bowler the last 2 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's why Reddick wants to get paid the insane amount of money he wants to get paid, and he just hasn't gotten that yet. So he hasn't reached that long-term deal and has demanded a trade from the Jets, and now the Jets are finally giving him permission to speak with other teams to try to find himself a landing spot somewhere in the NFL that's willing to take on his antics and take on his volatility here. You do look at the stats here. The last 4 seasons, hasn't played this year, so obviously the stats there don't really or aren't really irrelevant. But double-digit sacks the last 3 years. He was an All-Pro back in 2022, Pro Bowler back in 2023. This guy has excellent measurables, man. Great first step. Very explosive athlete, and over the last several years in Philadelphia, man, he has really, really developed into one of the most explosive and dynamic pass rushers that the game has to offer. And personally, man, I think he'd be a great fit for what Washington wants to do here. Obviously, with Jonathan Allen out for the season, the Commanders could certainly use help in terms of a pass rush, and I do think he could fit into that Micah Parsons type role in Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.'s system here in Washington. And honestly, I'd be open to making a trade for Haason Reddick, but he definitely comes with risks. So because of that, I would want a big-time discount in terms of what I'm sending to the New York Jets. And, I'd be very, very worried about giving him a brand new long-term contract as well. And those are my 2 concerns here, man. Number one is he even in playing shape right now? He hasn't practiced. He hasn't played. Like, if you trade for him, is he really ready to go? I mean, it seems like he's been on vacation. It seems like he hasn't really been keeping himself ready. Like, I think a big risk in trading him for Haason Reddick is that he just might not be very productive this year because he's not in playing shape. Then the other thing is, if you trade for him, you likely have to give him a brand new contract. That's what his new agent, Drew Rosenhaus, really wants to get done here. And honestly, man, with his off-field antics, with 2 trade demands over the span of just 1 season, like, I'm just not sure if the Commanders want to take on this kind of risk. So I certainly understand the hold up here with some fans for not wanting to go get a guy like Haason Reddick. And honestly, man, if I'm going to make a trade for a guy like this, I'm not going to be giving up pretty much anything of value in terms of draft capital. Maybe a 7th round pick, right? I would need to really fleece the New York Jets out of this guy to even consider bringing him in. And I definitely think it's going to be an interesting discussion here to see where he ends up going. I think other teams that could be interested in Reddick, the Indianapolis Colts, the Arizona Cardinals, are 2 teams with coaches back in Philly that Haason Reddick is familiar with. Maybe those teams make sense. There's certainly some other teams out there that could use some edge rusher help as well. The Detroit Lions just lost Aiden Hutchinson for the year. I think they could be in the mix as well. But the Commanders, after losing Jonathan Allen, if they can fleece the Jets and just send a 7th round pick for somebody that's been a 2-time Pro Bowler last 2 years, maybe that's worth taking a risk on. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Is this worth the risk? Send a 7th rounder for Haason Reddick. Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. Coming up here, I'm going to be telling you guys about our sponsor here at Game Time. And while I'm talking about Game Time, go down there in the comments section and give me a yes or a no to whether you would trade for Haason Reddick. Now let's get into our sponsor read today from our friends at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, we all know that experiencing a sporting event, especially a football game live, is unlike anything you can get from watching the game on your couch. So if you want to go see more Commanders games this year, our friends at Game Time have a brand new feature on their free app called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And you take a look at all you have to do to get great tickets from our friends at Game Time using Game Time Picks. You go into the Game Time app, you select an event that you guys want to go see, and you select that Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen. It automatically filters through their entire database of tickets for that particular event to find you the best seats at the best prices so you don't have to spend hours of research on a bunch of different ticketing apps trying to find the best price and tickets for you and your family. And what I love about using the Game Time app, guys, is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event, all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with crazy fees at checkout, and flash deals. So if you're someone like me and you like to procrastinate and wait till the last minute to get your tickets, you can get even cheaper tickets if you wait longer with the flash deals that Game Time has at their disposal. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Now, before I go here, I want to talk about 2 cornerback trade targets that have been linked to Washington in recent days, because this is really what I think is the biggest trade need for the Washington Commanders, man. You look at the depth chart for the Washington Commanders right now at the cornerback position, it is just not very good whatsoever. Even Emmanuel Forbes, this team's first-round pick just 2 seasons ago, was a healthy scratch last week against Baltimore, so they definitely need to make a move at corner, in my opinion. And the 2 guys that have been linked to the Commanders in recent days are Jonathan Jones from the Patriots and Greg Newsome from the Cleveland Browns. So take a look here of this Jonathan Jones trade idea from CBS Sports, where they have the Commanders picking up Jonathan Jones, and I actually think it's for a 6th-round pick, not a 4th-round pick here, Joey. So I think that Jeremy built the graphics wrong here. So it's a 6th-round pick, not a 4th-round pick for a guy in Jonathan Jones who has been a very solid starter in the National Football League for the Patriots. He's on an expiring deal with New England. And there we go. Joey's got the graphic fixed for us here, guys. So let's take a look here at what Cody Benjamin from CBS Sports had to say about this particular trade idea. It definitely intrigues me quite a bit here because I actually like Jonathan Jones as a player, and I think he'd fit well with what the Commanders want to do here in Washington. This is what he had to say. While Jones is easily the Patriots' most accomplished cornerback, new coach Gerard Mayo acknowledged recently that New England is just beginning a multi-year rebuild. At 31 years of age, approaching 2025 free agency, Jones therefore makes for a logical trade chip. While he's been more solid than spectacular for years, his experience could be invaluable to Washington, which has a potential playoff contender, thanks to rookie Jaden Daniels, but has struggled mightily on the back end of Dan Quinn's defense. And listen, man, I really like Jonathan Jones as a player, and I like the price tag of a 6th-round pick to go get him. Now, as Cody said in his article, Jonathan Jones isn't a true number 1 guy. I would classify him more as a number 2 kind of guy. But if the Commanders really feel good about where they're at with Mike Sainristil and Benjamin St-Juste, maybe you don't need a true, legitimate, lockdown number 1 corner to make this secondary at least serviceable for the rest of the season, especially if you don't want to end up paying like a 2nd or a 3rd-round draft pick to get a cornerback help this season. I think that Jones makes sense for the Patriots to unload, and I think it makes sense for the Commanders to potentially grab him in a trade. So keep your eye on Jonathan Jones here. But somebody that I actually think is younger and has a little bit more upside and could be a potential number 1 corner here in Washington if they ended up trading for him is Browns corner Greg Newsome. Now Newsome was a very high draft pick just a couple of seasons back. He's in his 4th year of the NFL. Of his NFL career now. He's 24 years old. He's not necessarily like the biggest guy in the world. He was known more as like a zone corner out of college, but he has played in a very man-heavy scheme there in Cleveland, and he has really thrived these past several seasons. He is under contract for this year and next. Next year is when his 5th-year option kicks in, so it's about a little bit over $13 million against the cap if the Commanders end up trading for him. And right now, the Browns look like they might be having a fire sale at the trade deadline after a 1-5 start to their 2024 NFL campaign. Now, the kicker when it comes to Greg Newsome is that he's going to be more expensive than a guy like Jonathan Jones, right? He's going to be probably more along the lines of like a J.C. Horn, who we've talked about on the show before, kind of a younger corner who still has a very bright future in this league. Those kind of younger guys, high upside guys, they're going to cost more on the open market. It's probably going to cost more like a 2nd or probably a 3rd-round pick for a guy like Greg Newsome if you want to get him on the open trade market. So pick a cornerback here. We've talked about these corners on the show recently. Which one would you like to see the Commanders pick up? Type JJ for Jonathan Jones, type GN for Greg Newsome, ML for Marshawn Lattimore, or JH for J.C. Horn. That'll be it for today's edition of Commanders News and Rumors. Appreciate all of your guys' support. Thank you guys for making it to the end of today's video. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button because we got in-depth free Commanders coverage right here on the channel just about every single day. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now to never miss a big story. All right, Joey, so we are going to be getting into our second segment here momentarily. Next segment, watch out for this Commanders player that I think is getting ready to step up in a big way now that Jonathan Allen is out for the season. And by the way, Joey, I don't think people have heard your take on the Jonathan Allen injury and the impact it's going to have on this Commanders team this year.
Yeah, it's going to be big. Anytime you lose a player of his caliber, I think even more than just his abilities on the field, his leadership of this defense, his leadership of these guys. And I know it's a lot of new guys since Dan Quinn came in, but still, at the same point, like Jonathan Allen is such a big voice on the field for that defense. It's going to be a big loss.
Yeah, man, and I do think that the Commanders have some players on defense that could step up in big ways here, and we're going to talk about one in particular that I think is really going to step up here in just a second. If you guys want to get on the mailbag here, if you got a trade idea, if you have something that you want to tell me, if you want to tell me I'm an idiot for anything that I've said, you guys can put it on the mailbag today by using hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get on the show. All right, I love the mailbag segments. We haven't actually been able to get to mailbag segments these last few weeks, Joey, because we've been having some bugs with our software here that we've been using for mailbags lately. But listen, man, it's back. I can't wait to answer your questions. So if you have a question on the Commanders, you want to get on the show, use hashtag Commanders or Super Chat to get the show on the road here today. All right, I'm not going to make you guys wait any longer here. Let's get into our second segment of the day. This player is going to be one to watch out for, and I think is going to step up in a big way for your Washington Commanders. Nobody is talking about this Washington Commanders player on defense that I think is getting ready to step up in a big way after Jonathan Allen goes down with an injury, and I think that player is rookie defensive tackle Jer'Zhan Newton out of the University of Illinois. Today, we're going to be talking about the impact of Jonathan Allen's season-ending pec injury. We'll talk about why I think Newton is going to be able to step up for this defense moving forward, and we're going to talk about what this defense is going to look like writ large for the rest of the season without Allen on the field. Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a Jer'Zhan Newton fan and you think he is going to be a great player for this Washington Commanders defense for many years to come. So let's have a little bit of a roundup here of the defensive injuries that were suffered against Baltimore. We'll start with Dorrance Armstrong, the edge rusher. He hurt his ribs playing in that game. He did not come back to play in that Baltimore Ravens game, and he started the week of practice this week, not on the practice field. So we'll see how he progresses throughout the week. Hopefully he can get to a point where he can play on Sunday this week against the Panthers, but certainly not trending in that direction is what I would say my feeling is on that right now. Then we look at Jonathan Allen, and he is out for the season with a torn pec, and this is a big blow to the Commanders defense because this was already a defensive unit that was struggling a little bit and was a little bit lackluster, just gave up 480-plus yards of offense to the Baltimore Ravens just last week, and now you're losing a guy in Jonathan Allen who is supposed to be one of the biggest impacts on this defense and is supposed to be really the leader of this defense. So this is really a big loss for the Washington Commanders here. There's a lot of youth and inexperience on this line. Daron Payne has been really disappointing to start this season as well. So losing a guy like Jonathan Allen, who is getting paid to be the leader of this defense, it really does suck. And you just can't sugarcoat it, man. And the Commanders are going to have to have multiple players, most likely, step up in big ways here if this defense is going to turn things around. You guys know, if you've been watching the channel, I've been heavily advocating for Adam Peters to make a move for a top corner at the trade deadline this year. Hopefully they can put some things together here, and hopefully by season's end, this is a defense that we look at as a team that could potentially win playoff games here for this Washington Commanders franchise moving forward. So listen, man, we feel terrible for Jonathan Allen here on the show, man. Prayers up for him. If you want to send some positive love to John on today's show, spam those 93s in the chat, and let's see how many 93s we can get in there and show Jonathan Allen some support after this season-ending injury. So listen, man, obviously this injury to Jonathan Allen is a big one, And the question is it time to worry about this defense? Because it was already not the best defensive unit in football before this injury. And now you take away Jonathan Allen, and these numbers seem poised to go down. Right now, you are bottom half in the league in every single one of these key metrics. And that's not something that you want to see. Only 4 takeaways. They only have 1 interception right now. They're giving up a touchdown on 70% of their opponents' red zone trips. That's absolutely atrocious. And right now they're giving up over 24 points a game. And now with Jonathan Allen out of the lineup, things definitely seem bleak for the Washington Commanders defense, at least on paper. But coming up next year, I'm going to tell you how I think Haason Newton could be an X factor for this Commanders defense and turning things around as we go down the home stretch of the 2024 NFL campaign. But before we get into Haason Newton and some potential some Band-Aids here and some potential fixes for this defense, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, which is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports right on your phone. And unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. You can now pick up to 100 times, or you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts. Like this week, for example, Anthony Edwards just needs to score 1 point for his square to win. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. So let's take a look at an NBA-type projection here on Prize Picks. You guys see this awesome promotion right now that the Prize Picks has? Right now, Anthony Edwards just has to score 1 point for you to hit the more on him right now on Prize Picks. That's just free money right there that you guys can take advantage of right there. Then the rest of my Prize Picks projections here, I'm going to take the less on points for LeBron James and more on Jason Tatum. You guys can get in on the fun, this NBA or football or like whatever the case may be on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. So now let's talk about Haason Newton, because I think that this is the kid that's going to be stepping up for this unit in a big way in the weeks to come here, now that Jonathan Allen is out for the remainder of the season. And the reason why I think Haason Newton is going to get the job done here is because of his first step. And this is what really made me fall in love with this kid when I watched him on film with the Illinois Fighting Illini last year, and why he was an All-American for them last season. 52 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, forced fumble, and also 7.5 sacks. This guy just impacts the game from an interior pass rusher perspective, and that first step really allows him to get into the backfield, make those kinds of impact plays that you draft a guy like this extremely early for. Then another player to watch as well is Phidarian Mathis, somebody that has been a very, very solid, almost nose tackle type for this Commanders defense. Very solid run defender. And I think that he's going to step up in a big way as well. So listen, man, I think that the division of labor here in terms of replacing Jonathan Allen and his snaps in this defense on early downs, short yardage, goal line, that type of stuff, you're going to see Phidarian Mathis out there quite a bit to be a true run stuffer. And then the undersized Haason Newton, I think, is going to be out there in more pass-heavy situations, second down and medium, second down and long, third down situations, so that he can get after the passer and kind of fill that pass rushing role from the interior that Jonathan Allen was assuming for this Commanders defense. And like I said, with that quick first step, I think Haason Newton has an opportunity as he continues to get healthier and healthier off of his procedures he had done on his feet this year and in this offseason, that I think that he is going to really have that uptick in production. And he's really going to rise to the occasion here, and both of these guys are going to do that. And then also, we have to talk about this as well. Daron Payne needs to pull his weight. This season has been he's been pretty much invisible for the Washington Commanders defense, and with Jonathan Allen out, he has nowhere else to hide, man. He needs to get it going. Just 8 tackles in 6 games for somebody that's playing in the teeth of the defense, that is absolutely unacceptable to me. 2 QB hits, a half sack. It's just not good enough for Daron Payne right now. I think he's had one performance where I've watched on film where I was like, you know what? That's a pretty decent game from Daron Payne. All 5 other games have just been not very good for Daron this year, and this guy got paid. This guy's getting paid a lot of money now, and now with Jonathan Allen out of the lineup here, it's going to be important for Daron Payne to pick up the slack here, to really do a good job getting after opposing quarterbacks. And of course, he's a bigger guy, and he's going to be asked to stuff the run as well. So with Jonathan Allen out, there's nowhere left for Daron Payne to hide. He needs to deliver, and he needs to do it now. So let me know down there in the comments section, what's your panic level for this Commanders defense at this point? You just gave up over 480-plus yards of offense to the Ravens last week. You just lost arguably your best player on defense in Jonathan Allen for the season. So let me know where you guys think this defense is at here. Put it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not worried at all, to 10 being it's like a 5-alarm fire, like, oh my goodness, DEFCON 1, the world is ending. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, I'm sitting at about a 7. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really do appreciate your guys' support. Let me know your guys' thoughts about Jazon Newton, Daron Payne, Phidarian Mathis. Do you think that this defensive line is going to hold up with Jonathan Allen out for the rest of the season? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments section, guys. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, go raise some hail. Got one more segment to go here, Joey, and it is the Commanders Report Q&A. So if you guys want to get in on the action here, you guys want to get on the show, make sure you get your question in the comments section. We'll put it up on screen. And the way that you do that, hashtag Commanders, then you put your question in after it, okay? So get those things going for me right now. How many questions do we have, Joey? Do we have, like, no questions?
We've got 3. So some, but not enough.
All right, so we need some more questions here. If you want to get on the show, you can get on the show for free right now by using hashtag Commanders and getting your question in the chat. So get them going right now. Let's get it.
Guys, it's super easy. You don't even have to put it at the beginning. You could put it at the end. You can put it anywhere you want. As long as you use hashtag Commanders and ask us something, we'll be able to pull it up. And I know, like, you guys are tuning in right now. It's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday? Y'all obviously love the show, love the channel. If you want a chance to be on it, if you got a question, go ahead, shoot.
So Christian Andujar is down in the chat right now, and he puts in hashtag Commanders. So just like Christian, guys, use hashtag Commanders and then put a question at the back end of that same comment if you guys want to get on the show today. Joey, as the people are getting their questions in, what are your thoughts on Jazon Newton? Do you think that he's going to be the one to step up for this Commanders defense? Do you think it's going to be somebody else? Or do you think nobody steps up for this Commanders defense?
It's got to be hard for a team to kind of be relying on a rookie defensive lineman to be the one that steps up, especially kind of on that interior side. You know, I look at a guy and I think of a guy like Mozzie Smith, who's having a better year than he did last year, but didn't have a great first year with Dallas. And it's kind of hard, I feel like, when you're an interior defensive lineman, stepping into the NFL, it's a big jump. And so I don't think he won't step up, but I don't think he'll step up as much as necessarily is needed to fill that role.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a team effort, right? You're going to have Daron Payne not look like, a freaking bumbling idiot out there at times, if I'm being completely honest with you. You paid Daron money, a shit ton of money. All right, and he's looking out there like he's the rookie. All right, he's looking like he's the guy in Jazon Newton's shoes, where he's not getting any production whatsoever, and he's playing a large majority of the snaps from the interior as a pass rusher. So he needs to really get it going. Phidarian Mathis is going to be very important in terms of an early down run stuffer type role, and then if there's anybody that's going to be filling Jonathan Allen's shoes here, it's going to have to be the rookie out of Illinois. He's got the physical tools and the skill set to get it done. I guess we'll just see with time will tell here if he ends up really stepping up for this defense.
Flashback for me to April, March. Where was he on your draft board?
I had a first-round grade on him,
Gotcha.
And I had him as my number 2 defensive tackle. I had Byron Murphy slightly above him. But Byron Murphy's balling out. He's dealing with some injuries right now, but he's been awesome for the Seattle Seahawks when he's been on the field. Really excited to see what Jazon Newton's going to do, though, because I did have a first-round grade on him. Ended up falling to the second round because of some feet issues. Commanders took him because they see a bright future with him. And I'm very excited to see what he's going to do for the rest of the season now that he is getting more and more healthy. Okay, man. So let's get into. I think I saw some more questions get in there.
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Jonathan Taylor says, just stopping by. What's up? What's up, Jonathan Taylor? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by this week. All right, man. Let's get into it, man, because I think I just said man like 5 times in a row there, Joey. Jesus. Okay, let's get into the mailbag here. I love answering your questions. This is my favorite segment of the week because you guys get to tell me what you want me to talk about, all right? Like most of the week, I'm deciding what do Commanders fans want me to talk about, and I end up guessing, right? But with the mailbag, you guys give me the give me the content that I need here, and I can provide answers to the questions that are on your mind. So without further ado, here, let's get into the Q&A. Let's get into the final segment on today's edition of the Commanders Report Live Show. Welcome into the Commanders Report Mailbag. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and this is my favorite segment that I get to do every single week right here on the Commanders Report because I get to hear from you guys directly with the topics that you want me to discuss surrounding the burgundy and gold. So if you guys want to get a question on a future edition of the Commanders Report, what you guys got to do is you got to make sure you click that subscribe button right now and then join us every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And join us for our Commanders Report live shows where we film these Q&As, all right? So you guys can get your questions in, all that great stuff. So if you want to get your voice heard in this community of over 20,000 Commanders fans around the world, make sure you click that subscribe button and join us live every Wednesday afternoon. Then we get to our first question of this week. It's from Hunter McLean, who says, Commanders, #Commanders, do you think we should trade John Allen or Daron Payne, and what could we get from either of them? So you're not going to trade Jonathan Allen this year, but could they do it next offseason? Absolutely. And Hunter, the way that I think that this could happen is if Jerzon Newton really has a good rest of the season. If he's getting multiple sacks, if he's affecting the quarterback, if he's getting after it, especially as a pass rusher, I think that they're going to look at the contracts of Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, and they're going to be like, you know what, man, maybe we do end up trading one of these guys because we've got a really great stud in Jerzon Newton who plays the position, who is on a rookie contract, right? So maybe you want to unload some of that cap space. Obviously, the Commanders already have a ton of cap space, but if you can get a decent draft pick, like a late day 2 draft pick, an early day 3 draft pick for one of these guys, I think that'd be more than worth it for the Washington Commanders. So it's certainly a discussion that's worth having. But with Jonathan Allen out for the season, he can't get traded this year before the deadline. And then Daron Payne with Allen out of the lineup, it doesn't make sense to unload him either. So I highly doubt that either of these guys get traded this year. But I think both of them are potentially on the table next offseason. Then we got one from Ryan Clark. Says, what's your realistic expectations for this season, considering we're not supposed to be very good this year? Truly excited for the future. And like you, Ryan, I am very excited for the future. But listen, man, let's take a look at two kind of things that I think kind of limits the ceiling as far as how far this team can go this year. Okay, number one, they have a first-year quarterback paired with a first-year head coach. All right, when you look at first-time playoff quarterbacks and first-time playoff head coaches with a certain team, the record for those teams is way below 50% in the playoffs. All right, so I think that the Commanders could certainly make the playoffs this year. That's a reasonable expectation for this football team with how good the offense is playing right now. And honestly, right now, I do expect them to make the playoffs, and I do expect them to win the division. All right, I think that this team is that good in terms of just pure overall talent, especially on offense. But with the quarterback being so inexperienced in the playoffs, mixed with the fact that the defense doesn't have a good secondary right now. Let's call it for what it is. They're not performing great football, at least they weren't with Jonathan Allen in there. And now Jonathan Allen's out for the rest of the season, so you can expect this defense to play even worse unless they make some big moves at the trade deadline. So right now, my expectations, Ryan, is that this is going to be a playoff team that loses in the first or second round in the playoffs, which, by the way, is a hell of a season when just last spring you were drafting number 2 overall in the NFL draft. Got one from Buckeyes in 5 here. Says, I've been hearing that Vegas might consider moving Max Crosby. Is that a possibility for the Commanders? I would say it's a significant non-chance. All right, I would say less than 1% chance the Commanders land Max Crosby. Even if the Raiders decide to trade Crosby, I think there's other teams that would pay more for him, like the Detroit Lions. And, I just don't think that the Raiders will trade Max Crosby. I think that they love him. Mark Davis, their owner, and Crosby are very good friends. And I just don't think that Mark Davis would really want to unload Max Crosby even for like 2 first-round picks. I mean, Crosby is maybe a top 5 pass rusher in the game today. He is an absolute monster, and he's still young enough where he can be a part of a long-term rebuild there in Las Vegas. So I don't think that they're going to unload him. And if they do, I don't think it'll be to the Commanders. But what say you guys, man? The idea of trading for an edge rusher is certainly interesting. So should the Commanders trade for an edge rusher like Azeez Ojulari from the Giants or maybe Haason Reddick from the Jets? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Or actually, we're going to be telling you about our sponsor at Game Time here in just a couple of seconds. And while I'm talking about Game Time, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section and simply give me a yes or a no. And now let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And guys, if you want to go see more Commanders games in person this year, Game Time has a free app at your disposal, and they have a great new feature called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets on a bunch of different ticketing sites. And it really does cut out all the time researching on ticketing apps to find you the best prices at the best seats. And it's really, really good stuff, man. All you have to do is go into the Game Time app. It's free to download. You go into an event you want to go see. So, like, for example, any Commanders game that you want to go see. And then you can select the Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen. And it automatically filters through their entire database to find the best tickets at the best prices for you and your family. And what I love about using the Game Time app is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. You also get all-in transparent pricing on every ticket, so you don't get slapped with a crazy fee at checkout. And then also, if you're someone like me, like to get tickets last minute, flash deals is something that Game Time has that no other ticketing app actually has. So they take their already lowest price guaranteed tickets and they drive the prices down even lower the longer you wait to the start of your event. It's a really, really cool feature that I take advantage of all the time, and you guys can as well. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. This one's coming in from my man Terrell Gore, or Terrell Gore. I hope I'm saying your name right there, my friend. He says, as far as DBs, what are the chances of Cleveland with their yard sale going for us to acquire Ward? So listen, man, I think that Denzel Ward is who he's talking about here. And Ward is somebody that is, in my opinion, an all-pro caliber guy on the outside. And, he would be a great guy to get. I would pay, a day 2 draft pick to get a guy like Ward. But he's also young enough where I think that even if Cleveland decides to blow things up, I think that he's still young enough where it's like he's a foundational piece of that defense and they're not trading him. So I think that Greg Newsome, the corner on the other side of their defense, is the more likely option here, Terrell. But I guess we'll have to see. If Ward is made available, I'm definitely making a very heavy push to land him in the nation's capital. Then we got one from Snappy Salads, says, if you had to guess, do you think the Commanders make some big moves at the deadline to give this defense a chance to be good, or do they stay put to keep their future draft capital? Snappy Salads, if you would have asked me this question week 1 or week 2, I probably would have said the latter. But now that they went on that nice winning streak, and now they're sitting at a very nice 4-2 record, and I think this week they have a great chance to get to 5-2 with a game at home against the Panthers. I think that they should at least be really, really aggressive at the trade deadline, especially when it comes to acquiring a cornerback at the trade deadline. I think that if you stay put, you're pretty much punting on this season. You're not giving yourself any fighting chance to potentially make NFL history and be the first team ever to win a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. The odds are already stacked against you because a rookie has never won a title, but if you don't have a good defense or at least a functional defense to back him up in the postseason, you're really not giving him any shot to get it done. So for me personally, man, I am being very aggressive on the trade market this year, and I'm trying to get some deals done. But what would you guys do? Let me know down there in the comments section. Would you buy at the deadline, or would you keep the trade cap or the draft capital that the Commanders currently have available to them? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this very pressing topic. Next question coming in here from Jeremy Dobbins here says, do you know if any teams have contacted the Commanders about some of our players for a trade like Jamin Davis or Fords? I do not know this, Jeremy. Would it surprise me if somebody wants one of these guys? No. The thing with Forbes is that he's just played so bad. It would be for like a conditional 7th round pick, or like just a true 7th rounder at the very most. Same thing with Jamin Davis. These guys are backups for the Commanders right now, so teams are not going to want to pay big time draft capital for either one of them. They're both talented. They're both relatively young still. That's what they have going for them. But teams in the NFL don't trade valuable draft capital for guys that are sitting on the bench, not doing much for opposing teams. So if they're interested in them, I think that their interest in them is for a very late day 3 draft pick, but we'll see if anything comes to fruition there. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you want to win this week against the Carolina Panthers here in Week 7, I know I do. If you want to collect a 5th win for this 2024 NFL season, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon right now. Got one from GV Blover 77 says, is there any offensive line help we could look at? It's getting close to the trade deadline to possibly trade for. So here's the thing, GV Blover. Last year we saw Ezra Cleveland get traded from the Vikings to the Jags, but usually we don't see offensive line trades at the deadline. They're very, very rare. And if they do happen, it's a team that's looking to really sell off pieces. They're not going to bring them back. As they're slated to hit free agency and all these different things. There's a couple of different pieces that could potentially be options, but honestly, man, there's not a whole lot of options that I think would really move the needle for the Commanders' offensive line. Andrew Wiley has been a huge disappointment since he came here to Washington, but he's been a lot better this year than he was last year. So right now, I think that the Washington Commanders O-line is good enough. Jaden Daniels in the offensive production is showing that. So if I have to guess right now, I don't think the Commanders make a move on the O-line. Moving on from Chugs Jugs coming in here says, if you could pick one player for the Commanders to trade for before the trade deadline, who would it be? It's a good question. I'm going to say J.C. Horn, the corner out of Carolina. Now, he's dealt with injury issues, and that's the red flag on him. Okay, but I think he is gettable, and I think that he's not going to be super expensive, and I think that he is a perfect fit for this Joe Witt Jr., Dan Quinn style of aggressive offense where he can really play well in man coverage. He's got long arms to play press, super physical. I think he could be Joe Witt Jr.'s next Trayvon Diggs. All right, I truly believe that. I think J.C. Horn could be an all-pro caliber player here in Washington, and right now I think that you could probably get him for either a 3rd or maybe even a 4th round draft pick. I guess we'll see what Carolina's asking price is for him. But if I could pick one player that I could add, I would probably pick J.C. Horn. If it's not him, I'd probably either pick Greg Newsome or Marshawn Lattimore. It's got to be a corner, though. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who is the top player that could be potentially traded this year before the deadline that you want the Commanders to trade for? Is it a corner? Is it Tee Higgins and a wide receiver? Deontay Johnson? Is it an offensive lineman? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Can't wait to see the answers that you guys come up with. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now because, like I said, we film these mailbags every single week on Wednesday during the Commanders Report live show. So if you want to join us, we go live every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button. Join us on Wednesdays. Until next time, go raise some hail. All right, Joey, we are about to head out here. Got some really good questions that came in. Appreciate everybody that submitted questions today. I know we didn't get to everybody's question, but that's why you super chat, right? Because the only way to guarantee you get your question on the mailbag is if you super chat. So I appreciate everybody that took the time to submit questions, all that great stuff. But this was a really fun show, Joey. I think we got to some really good content today. You got anything else you want to say before we say goodbye this week?
I don't think so. Heck of a show. Thank you all for tuning in. Glad we got the mailbags back, and we'll be back here next Wednesday.
See you guys next Wednesday. We'll see you guys on Sunday. We will be doing a watch party this weekend for Commanders versus Panthers. Joey and I will be here an hour before kickoff on Sunday to get you guys ready for that Week 7 matchup. And then we'll have live play-by-play and then extensive post-game coverage as well. So make sure you guys join us on Sunday for our watch party. Really do appreciate your guys' support. Until next time, guys, go Commanders.